And so then the other kind of interesting thing about your experience as an entrepreneur, shows that Connecticut isn't that boring, is that you were responsible for handing over Hillary Clinton's emails.
So this is one of the benefits of a channel sales model, in that you don't always know who your customers are. And in our case, we work with lots of managed service providers. Platte River Networks, which was in the news, happens to be a managed service provider. And they made a choice, which I will not opine on, to use our product to protect a certain extremely famous Secretary of State. And I've got to manage my words carefully through this. But yeah, and so they did that. And then we actually got faced with a really interesting set of decisions, because when we realized that this was occurring, we actually read about it in the New York Times, and I saw Platte River Networks. I was like, oh man, that name sounds familiar. And so I go and I log into the customer database, and I'm like, uh-oh, their customer. And then I go through the devices, and there was one of something, I don't remember the exact name, it was like ClintServe01. And it's immediately general counsel,
really clever naming,
we have a problem. So we knew that we had this information, and we badly, badly didn't want it. So we were really good. If you're a dentist office or something, I've got you down, our security is awesome, but nation state level is a different, we don't bill at that rate. And so, yeah, we just were not prepared in that sense. And so we were like, oh my God, we have this information, and no one knows but us right now. And so it was a very delicate process, but actually pretty amazingly, we were able to actually reach out to Platte River, sort of be like, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, we think we have something that we don't want to have. And can you reach out to your client? And actually, because this was the part that we were worried about, having to go to battle and say, no, we cannot turn this information over. This is not ours to turn over. The client actually approved to have the information turned over to the FBI.
The client being the very famous Secretary of State.
Yes.
Okay.
So in that case, it was okay, but then it was this crazy race against the press, because we got a letter from the House Science and Technology Committee, all these things were starting to happen, and we realized we really, really, really did not want this data. And so ended up having to send somebody to the data center at 3:30 in the morning to unrack some servers and drive them in the back of their car down to Virginia to hand over with lawyers present to the appropriate folks. And it was
But you didn't have to do that yourself?
No.
But you did almost have to testify in front of Congress?
I did. So that came up, that we were very close to potentially having to testify in front of a subcommittee in Congress, and I was going to have to do it. And I had read all the briefing stuff, and it was tough because the other people on the panel were probably going to plead the fifth. And I was not, because we didn't do anything wrong. But it was their objective to make me look as terrible as possible. So it was not good. But I had the dubious honor of I got to go to Brooks Brothers and be like, I need a suit to testify in front of Congress. And they're like, when? And I was like, I have 48 hours. Is there a tailor here? And so they procured said suit. But
you know you can get them off the rack, right?
I know, but you it's the ultimate power suit of oh my God, what am I getting into? So yeah, no, so that was an event, but we got down to less than 12 hours, and I got the call that I didn't have to do it, which actually at the time I was deeply disappointed, because I was like, I'm ready, bring it. I had done all this prep, it was just ready to go. So yeah.
Well, I wish you'd worn the suit, but
I have the shoes. These are actually the shoes from the suit, so there you go.